Welcome to Travel NFX channel. Here you will find travel trends and tips, vacation spots, hotels, travel essentials and planning. There's no denying that traveling to India can be a major culture shock, especially on your first visit. It's a huge and bewildering country with many different religions and cultures and cities that roar with traffic and bustle with activity non-stop. So how to prepare for this assault on the senses? At Travel NFX, we reckon that if you want to get the most out of your trip, it's best to follow these tips. We bring you top 10 tips to make your first time in India easier. Tip number 1. Expect culture shock and adapt the way that you travel. For your first time in India, the culture shock can be a challenging assault on all the senses at first. Prepare by learning as much as you can about the Indian culture before you go, and be open-minded and prepare to adapt the way that you travel to suit India. India is a culture shock. There's no use fighting it. Accept that things don't happen the same way here as they do in your home country and embrace the differences. Leave your Western ideals and logic at the airport because they don't apply here. Come with an open mind and open heart, and India will open up to you. India is as rewarding as it is challenging, but ultimately your attitude will affect how much you enjoy and get out of the trip. Book a nice hotel and invest in an airport transfer and allow some time to adjust to get your trip off to a good start. I found my first trip life-changing but also very challenging. I swung between loving and hating India, but my second visit rewarded me and was much easier once I adapted the way that I travel and understood the culture more. Tip number 2. Go slow and be patient. This is my main and biggest tip for your first time in India. Take your time. India is not a place to be rushed. Trying to cram in too much and traveling too quickly will only result in being tired, stressed and frustrated and missing out on the surprises and local connections that make exploring India so incredible. India is so diverse, everywhere is so different. Even just a walk down the street can shock, surprise and awe, and getting around or getting anything done always takes longer than you think. Be patient and get used to waiting around. For your first time in India, if you only have a short time, focus on seeing one state or region in detail rather than rushing around. I did this on my first time in India, but never again. Tip number 3. Be cautious about who you trust. I hate the amount of negative publicity regarding travel in India, but admittedly, you do need to be on your guard to avoid the scams and hassles, especially in the north and especially on your first time in India. The hassle is worst around airports, bus and train stations and popular tourist monuments. But even though people will try their best to get you to part with your money in some way, they are usually not trying to hurt you. However, the majority of Indian people are some of the most open, friendly, wonderful and amazingly hospitable people I've ever met. After a while, you will be able to tell who is genuine and who isn't. Always trust your gut instinct. Just don't be naive. Number 4. Go south first and avoid big cities. Many people arrive in India, in Delhi, and travel the Golden Triangle route first. While there are undoubtedly some of the most amazing things to be seen here, the north of India is where you will find the most hassle. South India feels cleaner, less chaotic, and I've always felt a lot safer and less hassled in the south of India. I always suggest to my friends to start their trip somewhere like Goa or Kerala for their first time in India and work their way up to the north and factor in some time out in the countryside. Number 5. Cover up and dress conservatively. There has been a lot of bad press recently regarding the safety of women in India. While I agree that women need to be cautious in India, don't be put off discovering one of the most amazing travel destinations there is. On your first time in India, it can be confusing figuring out what to wear. India is a conservative country, so cover up to avoid unwanted attention, which will make you feel uncomfortable, and to respect the local culture. Even tight-fitting western tops and trousers may be too revealing, but you can buy colorful, lightweight Indian clothes to try to blend in a little and cover up without overheating. Tip number 6. Remember, price is always negotiable. It can be hard to get used to, but if you don't learn how to haggle, then you will constantly be paying over the odds for almost everything. Always settle of a price first before using a service, especially with auto rickshaws, to avoid nasty arguments later. The best thing to do is to find out the price beforehand and then ask the rickshaw driver if he will do it for that price and be firm to avoid being taken for granted. Number 7. Be assertive but don't lose your cool. Tours and scammers can often tell that it's your first time in India and might try to take you for a ride. If this happens, then sometimes being polite won't get you anywhere. Don't be afraid to be assertive. Stand your ground and stand up for yourself if you feel you're being taken for a ride or made to feel uncomfortable. Don't be so polite that you look weak, but try to stay calm. It might seem rude, but it's often best just to ignore hassle from touts and try to retain an air of confidence. At the same time, sometimes you have to accept that foreigners will always pay more. So don't sweat the small things. Know when to give in to save your sanity. Number 8. Look after your health. India is changing and modernizing fast, but it's still a pretty dirty country. And many travelers do get stomach upsets at some point, especially the first time in India, when you have not built up any resistance to the germs there. Make sure you get all your vaccinations before leaving. Never drink the tap water and be really careful what you eat by avoiding uncooked foods like salads. It's also a good idea to carry soap or hand sanitizer and toilet paper around, as they are rarely found in public places or budget hotels, and most Indians eat with their hands. Most Indians are vegetarian, and many travelers also choose to go veggie, as there is a huge choice and you are much less likely to get seriously sick from badly prepared veggies than meat. Tip number 9. Book trains in advance. India is huge and it takes a lot of time and effort to cover those long distances. A huge network of trains and buses, and increasingly so domestic flights, can help you to reach almost everywhere in India. The Indian Railways network is excellent and great value for money, but with such a huge population, trains get booked up weeks in advance. I much prefer to travel by train rather than taking bumpy, chaotic night buses. So I book my trains as far in advance as I can, making for much smoother travels. Number 10. Just go. Your first time in India will be more challenging than traveling in some other countries, but it's totally worth it. Prepare to have your mind blown. Some people describe a love-hate relationship with India, and while it's not a walk in the park, but don't let the hassle put you off. You will learn to deal with it and be rewarded with the most amazing experience. Use your common sense and know when to accept an invitation. Try to have a positive and open-minded attitude, and positive things will happen. So guys, if you're coming to India for the first time, follow my tip and you will never have any wrong experiences. Do subscribe to the channel for more such videos, like and share the videos with whoever is coming to India for the first time. And stay tuned.